Hey Grace Kids, welcome back to Grace Kids TV. My name is Ange and I serve as a ministry assistant here at Grace Church. It's so great joining you again today. In today's lesson, we will go over the story of when God used Samson. Who's the strongest person here or at home? Who is it? Can you guys show me your muscles? What do you think that you would need to get really strong? Today we're going to learn about one of the strongest men in the Old Testament, Samson. Samson's sin led to his own death, but God used his death to save the Israelites from their enemies. Samson's story reminds us of Jesus. Jesus never sinned, but God sent him to die on the cross and rise again to rescue people from sin and give them eternal life. But before we get to today's story, let's head over to Grace Kids Trivia to see what you remember from last week's story of when the people kept sinning. Good luck.
Question 1, true or false? God made a covenant with his people saying that he would keep his promises if they promised to never make an agreement with the people living in the promised land. And the answer is true. This was true. God told them that those people worship false gods and to stay away from them. And that leads us to our next question for the day. Question 2, true or false? The Israelites never made any agreements with the people living in the promised land. They kept their promise with God. And the answer is false. Sadly, this was not true. They agreed to the promise, but they did not keep their promise. After Joshua and the older Israelites died, the children grew up and did not remember God or what he had done for them. Instead, they did what was evil. The Israelites fell into a pattern of sin. Question 3, true or false? God let an enemy king take over the Israelites. And the answer is true. This was true. The people had to serve the king, and life was very hard. And that leads us to our next question. Question 4, true or false? Later, the Israelites were so angry with the king that they continued to blame and disobey God for everything that was going wrong for them. And the answer is false again. This was maybe a tricky one today, but it was not true. You may remember from last week's story that later, after the king took over the Israelites remembered how happy they were when they loved and obeyed God. They cried out to God saying, "Save us!" God wanted the people to love and obey him, so he gave them a leader called a judge to rescue them. And our final question of the day, question 5, true or false? As long as the judge was alive, the Israelites disobeyed God. They began to obey God again after the judge died. And the answer is false. This was definitely false again. It was actually completely backwards. When the judge was alive, the people obeyed God. But when the judge died, the Israelites disobeyed God again. However, the judges couldn't change the people's hearts and make them love God. But God had a plan. He sent his son Jesus to change his people's hearts and save them from sin forever.
everybody. My name is Megan.
And my name is Jessie.
Jessie, what is that dumbbell for?
Oh, you mean this very heavy weight here?
Yes, that one.
I wanted to show you how strong I am getting. Watch this. Well, maybe this weight is just a little bit too heavy.
Maybe so. Yeah, it's 7 pounds.
How did you do that, Megan?
Well, I'm pretty strong myself, Jessie. But today's Bible story is about a man named Samson who was very strong.
Could he lift heavy weights?
Oh, yes. He knocked down a building with his bare hands. Let me tell you the story. God's people kept getting into trouble. They disobeyed God again and again. Each time, God let their enemies have power over them. Now the Israelites were being ruled by the Philistines. One day, the angel of the Lord spoke to 2 of God's people. He said that they were going to have a son who would save Israel from the Philistines. God had special instructions for their son. He should never cut his hair. The woman had a baby and she named him Samson. God made Samson very strong. When Samson grew up, he met a woman named Delilah. Samson fell in love with her. The Philistine leaders wanted to know why Samson was so strong, so they asked Delilah to help them find out. Delilah asked Samson, "Why are you so strong?" Samson said, "If you tie me up, I will be weak." But that was not true. Delilah tied up Samson. When she said, "Samson, the Philistines are here to get you," Samson broke free. Delilah asked Samson again, "Why are you so strong?" Samson told Delilah, "If you weave my hair into a loom, I will be weak." But that was not true. Delilah wove Samson's hair into a loom. When she said, "Samson, the Philistines are here to get you," Samson broke free. Delilah begged Samson to tell her the truth, so Samson did. "If you cut my hair, I will be weak." When Samson was sleeping, a Philistine man came and cut his hair. Delilah woke up Samson. "Samson," she said, "the Philistines are here to get you." But Samson was not strong anymore. The Philistines grabbed him and took him away in chains. Over time, Samson's hair began to grow back. One day, the Philistines made Samson stand between 2 columns in their temple. Samson cried out to God, and God made Samson strong again. Samson pushed on the columns, and the temple fell down. Samson and everyone in the temple died, but Samson had saved God's people from the Philistines. Samson died because of his sin, but God used Samson's death to help his people. Samson reminds us of Jesus. Jesus never sinned, but he died for our sin. Jesus died and rose again to rescue God's people from sin and give them life with God forever.
Hi Grace Kids, we are going to make a craft today to help us remember the story about Samson that we learned. So, you're going to need the printout of the rebel, the 2 pillars, and then Samson, something to color with, something to cut it out with, and then some glue. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make this craft. Are you ready? Okay, first you're going to color. You're going to color the rebel, the 2 pillars, and then Samson. And then you're going to cut out the square around the rebel. And cut out around Samson. We're going to cut out the 2 pillars. Alright, and then the last part, we're going to assemble the craft. You're going to take the rectangle with the rebel, and there's 2 dotted lines. You're going to fold each of those dotted lines in. Then on the outside, you're going to glue each pillar, or 1 pillar to each side. And you're going to glue Samson to one side of the pillar. And your craft is complete. Okay, so on your completed craft, when you open up the flaps, you're going to see the crushed rubble inside. And on the directions page, it explains why we made this. It says, Samson died because of his sin. But God used Samson's death to save his people from the Philistines. Jesus never sinned. But God used Jesus' death to rescue his people from sin. And then Jesus rose again to give people life with him forever. What an incredible gift. So we can use this craft to share the story about Samson and how God used this story to share his own promises to us. Thanks so much for watching Grace Kids TV. Have a wonderful week.